Welcome back to another episode of Kingdom Come. I am your host, Jay Coltrane, and today we will be talking about uh, the cut day in the NFL. But before we talk about that, we'll get into Juju Smith Schuster. So, Kansas City has reunited with Juju in a move that I can't say that I was a fan of, but after thinking about it and you know, going through my mind. Like he was the number one receiver on the Super Bowl winning team, which didn't say much because our receiving core wasn't great that year, but he's definitely not going to be asked to be a number one. He'll be a role player at best, put him in situations. Uh, your number one is probably going to be Hollywood. Your number two is Rasheed Rice. Xavier Worthy is number three. And then you'll have Justin Watson and Juju Smith Schuster both right there at the 4 or 5 role. Then you still got your Miko Hardmans and Scott Moores. Well, uh, without further ado, he had a press conference yesterday, and these are some of the things that came from that.
And obviously, I got released by New England, and pretty much just talking to teams and seeing what option felt best. And coming here was probably the best, for me and my career. So yeah.
Why was coming here best for you? Why do you feel like this is the best spot for you?
Just very familiar with the offense. Very familiar with Andy Reid, Pat, the guys. So just being in this facility, uh, kind of makes your job a lot easier than going to somewhere new where you kind of got to learn everything, pretty quickly. I think the hardest part for an offensive player is going to a new system and having to study a whole new playbook. Um, you know, Being in New England, I studied two offensive playbook, and then being familiar with this playbook. Yeah.
You feel like you could be ready to play next week?
Um, uh, it's too early to say. I just got the playbook, so it's some things has changed. So just taking it day by day. But you never know.
So that was once again that was Juju Smith Schuster talking about reuniting with Kansas City, learning the offensive playbook, and that he's kind of familiar with it. So in that regards, this move makes sense. You get a proven NFL veteran. You're paying them next to nothing. And he's right there. He's already familiar with the offense. Now, what he's asked to do won't be that much. You gotta you solidify your team on the back end. You know what I'm saying? In case somebody gets hurt or you go 4 wide or whatever. So it it's a move that makes sense. It's not. No one's expecting Juju to come in and be what he was in Pittsburgh. No one's expecting for him to be shoot even what he was 2 years ago in Kansas City. Like I'm predicting maybe 15 catches, 200 yards, and a touchdown would be a serviceable season for Juju Smith Schuster this year. Um, yeah, like the bar's not high. I don't think he'll beat uh, Xavier Worthy, Justin Watson, or anybody above him in the depth chart for meaningful playing time. But we'll see him. We'll see number 9 on the field. And again, like you can't say that like you can't get mad at Andy Reid for kicking the tires to see if there's anything left in the tank for Juju Smith Schuster. And that's the thing about being a wide receiver in the NFL. Like one year you're the man, and the next year, like life passed you by. I mean, it's a tough position, but I wish him all the success in the world this year. Again, my expectations aren't that great for him. Um, but moving along, today was cut day in the NFL, and yeah, the Chiefs made some interesting roster moves. Number one, they got rid of Kadarius Tony. That was a really big. Like I didn't expect that at all. Did not expect it. I I understand it, but I didn't expect it. I thought that he would at least make the cut from what he could do in special teams. He's heck of a kick returner, punt returner. Um, but as a wide receiver, you got to catch the ball. I honestly think this roster move goes back to right before the Super Bowl. He was listed on the injury chart, and he tweeted, "Man, I'm not injured. I haven't been injured in a couple weeks. I'm ready to go." Da 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 da. He still didn't play. He got a DNP, coach's decision, and I think there was a lesson to be learned there. Like, listen, we're not playing you because we don't trust you, and then you go to the media and say we're not playing you because and nothing's wrong with you. We was trying to give they was trying to give him an out. So I think the organization just kind of decided it was time to part ways with Kadarius Toney. I would have kept Tony, but again, I'm a Florida Gator guy, so you know I would have kept him. But other notable cuts was Nico Remigio, which also a receiver that I thought had a shot at making the team. He's really good in he's really good in special teams. He can catch the ball well, everything. He's a kind of undersized receiver, and last year he didn't make the team because he got hurt in the preseason and he was on season ending IR. So I think he'll clear waivers. I don't think he'll clear waivers. I think somebody will pick him up. I think that he'll be a serviceable fourth or fifth receiving option on a non-contender team. But I think that kid has a future. I think within the next couple years, um, he'll be a force to reckon with. Let's see, Luis Reese Zambit, the rugby player, he wasn't ready. I didn't understand why they signed him in the offseason. Kind of seems like a publicity move. Um, chances are he'll clear waivers and then come back and be on the practice squad and try to learn the game. I think this is um, signing him this offseason was a move to get him on the field within 2 years. So he's right on par. Keep your head up, guy. Irv Smith, they brought him in from Cincinnati. Uh, just the tight end room is full. It's full. You got Travis Kelsey. You got Noah Gray. You got Wally, the daggone Ricky that was drafted. You don't, and he's gonna play. He's gonna be a situational tight end, and he blocks well, big hands, good catch radius, all the things you like in your tight end. Um, so Eric Smith is the odd man out. He'll get playing time. He'll get picked up. I'm not worried about him. Justin Ross. I mean, this kid has a heck of a preseason every year. I think that his lack of production during the regular season last year was what this cut was about. He did good in the preseason games. He did good in training camp, but I think when the lights shine the brightest in the crowded wide receiver room, you got to make some cuts, and that was him. He was cut. Um, and then another interesting cut was Deneric Prince, running back. Now, on episode one, this is episode 3, by the way, but on episode 1, I said that Carson Steele may take his roster spot, behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Isaiah Pacheco. And man, he's done it. Carson Steele, listen, when it comes to Carson Steele, he may, by the end of the year, have more carries and more yards and more attempts and more playing time than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, Clyde's great. I love Clyde. He's a great team player. He's a consummate pro, but he's an undersized back. Um, and still is listed as a fullback, but he's literally a Swiss Army knife. You can line him up at tight end. You can line him up at fullback. He gives you something that you haven't seen in a long time in the NFL because fullback was considered a dead position. Like, most teams didn't even carry a fullback. So with him making the initial 53 man roster, um, I think Andy Reid has really big plans for him. And I mean, a change of pace. You're changing the pace from a run hard back like Isaiah Pacheco right to another run hard back with Carson Steele. I mean, that backfield is amazingly talented right now. And a interesting fact, they said that he had 87 rushing yards in the preseason. And of those 87 rushing yards, 81 of them was yards after contact. So he literally makes people like breaks tackles. Like you can't come arm tackle that man. And that's what his college career was based on too. So I think that's a great move for the defending world champions, back-to-back defending world champions. I think that uh yeah, it's interesting. The only position that I have a question about is the second cornerback. Right now, you got to play either Joshua Williams or Jalen Watson, opposite of Trent McDuffie. And I think that's like the one weak spot. I think the safeties are going to be great, um, but other than that, like I think the defense is going to be amazing. You know that front four is crazy. Linebacker core, they play fast. They fly free across the field. Trent McDuffie is a monster. He's not getting the respect that he deserves, even after an All Pro year. He's not getting the respect that he deserves, and I believe that uh, defensively, we didn't turn the ball over. We didn't get enough turnovers last year. I think this year that comes together. I think you know getting turnovers. Like we got stops. We got stops. We help people from getting a whole lot of yards, but getting turnovers, we was like middle of the pack. And if we improve on that, the sky's the limit. I think the season will be interesting. I'm trying to look. Is there any other roster moves that happened today that's worth talking about? And no, nope, nothing else. And so, as always, man, like, subscribe, and share. This is another episode of Kingdom Come. Um, I'm gonna drop another episode next week where I'm gonna get in depth prior to the game, and then I'll drop a post game. So next week's going to be a 2 episode week. I'm gonna drop a post game analysis, but I'm gonna drop a pre-game preview. I could just say preview. I'm gonna drop a preview of Game 1 against the Baltimore Ravens, where I'm gonna break down the advantages and disadvantages that we'll have, and give you my prediction for Game 1. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, man. As always, this has been Kingdom Come. I'm still Jay. You guys have a wonderful day.